Tonight we report on a moment of extreme tension in the South China Sea, a region that has become one of the world's most contested and closely watched maritime frontiers. An American warship, the USS Princeton, found itself on a direct collision course with a Chinese destroyer, setting the stage for a confrontation that could have changed the course of history. The encounter happened in international waters, where, by international law, all nations are supposed to have the right to sail freely, regardless of their size or power. But on this day, that freedom was put to the ultimate test, as the rules of the sea clashed with the ambitions of powerful nations. The world watched with bated breath as two of the most powerful navies on Earth came dangerously close to open conflict, their ships separated by only a few hundred meters of churning water. Suddenly, a Chinese warship made a sharp, aggressive turn, aiming its bow directly at the American vessel, a maneuver that left no doubt about its intentions. This was no accident. It was a deliberate act, a clear and unmistakable message sent across the waves, challenging the American ship's right to be there. The Chinese destroyer, Hefei, was not just shadowing the American presence, it was actively trying to force the US Navy to back down, to yield ground in a region both sides claim as vital. For the crew of the USS Princeton, what began as a routine patrol quickly escalated into a critical test of nerve, discipline, and years of training under pressure. The distance between the two warships was closing fast, every second bringing them closer to a point of no return. On the bridge, alarms blared and every sailor snapped to their post, eyes locked on the approaching threat, hearts pounding as they prepared for the worst. The captain faced a difficult choice: respond and risk a dangerous escalation, or hold course and risk a catastrophic collision that could spark a wider conflict. Around the world, millions watched the unfolding drama, holding their breath and waiting to see what would happen next, aware that the outcome could shape the future of the region. This incident was more than a close call. It was a flashpoint in a much larger struggle for influence and control in the Indo-Pacific, a region where the balance of power is constantly shifting. The actions of these two captains, in those tense and uncertain moments, would have consequences far beyond the horizon, echoing through diplomatic channels and military strategies worldwide. In that moment, history teetered on a knife's edge, and the world was reminded just how quickly peace can give way to peril on the high seas. The USS Princeton, a Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser, was not looking for a fight. Its mission was routine presence, patrolling to uphold international norms and keep sea lanes open. The crew worked in shifts, maintaining the ship's complex systems and staying ready for any crisis. Their job C and B seen, ensuring vital sea lanes remained open for all. The South China Sea is crowded, fishing boats, cargo ships, and warships from many nations. The Princeton's crew used advanced sensors and communications to track every vessel, avoiding misunderstandings. The patrol was proceeding as planned, the sea calm, the sun high. No one expected the Chinese warship shadowing them to suddenly change course. The mission was about upholding a rules-based order. By sailing these waters, the US Navy sent a clear message: these sea lanes belong to all, not just one nation. The USS Princeton was more than a ship on patrol. It was a guardian of a principle that underpins global peace and commerce. On this day, that principle was about to be tested. The world was watching. On the Chinese destroyer Hefei, the mood was tense. A palpable sense of anticipation filled the air as the crew awaited their next move. After hours of shadowing the Princeton, a new order came through the radio: close the distance, challenge the American ship, and assert dominance in these contested waters. The helmsman spun the wheel with precision, engines roared to life, and the Hefei turned hard, now on a direct intercept course, cutting through the waves with determination. The Chinese crew moved with practiced efficiency, executing a maneuver meant to intimidate and demonstrate their naval prowess. Their goal was clear: force the American captain to change course or risk a collision, a high-stakes game of naval chicken. This was no rogue act. It was part of a broader strategy known as cabbage tactics, surrounding targets to assert control without firing a shot, a calculated move in the chess game of international waters. The Hefei was the hard edge of this tactic, aiming to create a crisis and put the US on the defensive, testing their resolve and response. For the Chinese crew, this was a moment of national pride and pressure. They believed they were defending sovereign territory, a duty they held with utmost seriousness. The captain watched the American cruiser grow closer, determined to carry out his orders with unwavering focus and resolve. The gap between the two warships was closing fast, each second bringing them closer to a potential confrontation. The point of no return was near, a critical juncture where decisions would have lasting consequences. Every decision now carried enormous risk, the weight of which was felt by every officer on the bridge. The world's attention was fixed on this high-stakes gamble, a spectacle of power and strategy unfolding on the high seas. The next moments would decide everything, a pivotal point in a tense standoff that could alter the course of history. The South China Sea is one of the world's most critical maritime crossroads. A third of global shipping passes through these waters, trillions in trade, vital to the world economy. Beneath the waves lie vast reserves of oil, gas, and rich fisheries. Multiple nations claim parts of the sea, but China's claim is the most expansive, rejected by international law. Freedom of navigation is the bedrock of maritime law, allowing ships from all nations to pass freely. The U.S. Navy's patrols are meant to uphold this right for everyone. The Chinese challenge was a direct assault on this global norm. A conflict here would disrupt the world economy and risk a wider war. The standoff was a microcosm of a larger geopolitical struggle. The stability of the world depended on what happened next. As the Chinese destroyer Hefei barreled toward them, the bridge of the USS Princeton remained a picture of discipline and calm professionalism. The tension was palpable, but the crew's training took over, every action deliberate and controlled. Captain Eva Rostova, a seasoned leader, issued clear and unwavering orders: maintain course and speed. Her voice cut through the tension, steady and confident, setting the tone for her crew. Changing course now would signal weakness to the adversary. Holding firm was a calculated show of resolve and determination, a message that the United States would not be easily intimidated. The crew executed their duties flawlessly, broadcasting repeated warnings to the Hefei in both English and Mandarin, firmly requesting that the Chinese vessel alter its course to avoid escalation. Every message was meticulously recorded, creating a detailed log of American attempts to de-escalate the situation and demonstrate transparency to the world. Lookouts, eyes fixed on the horizon, called out the closing range, 900 yards and shrinking rapidly. The sense of urgency grew with every passing second. Captain Rostova ordered general quarters. Alarms blared throughout the ship as sailors rushed to their battle stations, adrenaline surging, but discipline holding firm. This was a posture of self-defense, not aggression, preparing for the worst while still hoping for a peaceful resolution. Weapons remained on standby, but fingers stayed off triggers. Below the waves and high above, other American assets responded in concert. The USS Asheville submarine silently tracked the Hefei's movements, while a P-8 Poseidon aircraft streamed live video and sensor data to command, providing a real-time picture of the unfolding crisis. The American response was coordinated, multi-domain, and overwhelming, with ships, submarines, and aircraft working seamlessly together to project strength and unity. The Chinese captain now faced not just a single ship, but the full power and resolve of a networked American force, ready for any contingency. The message was unmistakable. The United States would not be intimidated or coerced, standing firm in defense of its interests and allies. Every move was measured, professional, and precise, a testament to years of rigorous training and unwavering commitment. Around the globe, the world watched as the crisis reached its peak, news outlets broadcasting live updates and analysts debating the possible outcomes. The next decision, made in these tense moments, would shape not only the immediate future, but potentially the fate of the entire region. The balance of power was on full display, a stark reminder of the stakes at play in these contested waters. The standoff exposed a critical difference: technology. The USS Princeton's Aegis combat system gave it unmatched situational awareness, tracking hundreds of targets at once. Its SPY-1 radar could spot threats from over 100 miles away. In contrast, the Hefei's systems were less integrated, with limited range and reliability. The Chinese crew focused on the Princeton, unaware of the submarine and aircraft tracking them. The American P-8 Poseidon shared real-time data across the fleet. Chinese aircraft lacked this networked capability. The USS Asheville, a silent hunter beneath the waves, tracked the Hefei undetected. China's rapid naval expansion hasn't closed the technology gap. The US Navy's edge is not just in hardware, but in how seamlessly it all works together. In any confrontation, this invisible advantage can be decisive. The Hefei was outmatched before a shot was ever fired. As tension mounted, cracks appeared in the Chinese operation. The Hefei's captain acted boldly, but with incomplete information, unaware of the American assets tracking him. The rigid Chinese command structure left little room for adaptation. In contrast, U.S. commanders like Captain Rostova were empowered to make real-time decisions. Other Chinese assets in the area failed to coordinate. Patrol aircraft flew predictable patterns. A nearby frigate kept its distance. The operation was not a well-rehearsed multi-platform maneuver. China's rapid military growth has outpaced its ability to integrate and coordinate its forces. Building ships is one thing. Using them as a networked force is another. The Americans operated like a symphony. The Chinese, a single, loud drum. The standoff revealed the limits of China's naval power. The U.S. advantage was as much about training and doctrine as technology. The standoff reached its climax in a series of decisive moments. As the Hefei closed in, Captain Rostova ordered a targeted jamming of its fire control radar, blinding its weapon system without firing a shot. Simultaneously, the USS Asheville detected the Hefei opening its torpedo tube doors, a clear sign of escalation. This intelligence was relayed instantly to Captain Rostova, giving her a crucial edge. High above, two Fa-18 Super Hornets launched from a carrier, executing a high-speed flyby miles away, demonstrating air superiority without direct provocation. The Hefei now faced a cruiser it couldn't target, a submarine it couldn't see, and fighters it couldn't catch. The final move, a direct call from a U.S. admiral to his Chinese counterpart, calmly laying out the facts. The American forces had total control and awareness. The Chinese ship was isolated and at a severe tactical disadvantage. No threats were made, just a clear presentation of reality. The message escalation would be futile. The crisis had reached its tipping point. The next move was up to China. The world waited. Overwhelmed, the Hefei's captain received new orders: disengage. Slowly, the Chinese destroyer turned away. Its aggressive charge halted. On the Princeton's bridge, the crew watched in silence as the distance grew. The alarms fell silent. The immediate crisis was over. Captain Rostova ordered a stand down, but the ship remained alert. The withdrawal was a quiet but clear victory for the United States. No shots fired, no lives lost, but a powerful message sent. The U.S. had demonstrated its resolve and technological edge. The incident reaffirmed America's commitment to freedom of navigation. As the sun set, the Princeton resumed its patrol, unchanged in course or mission. The encounter would be studied for years, a textbook case of de-escalation from strength. The rules-based order had been tested, and it held firm. The world breathed a sigh of relief. For now, peace and the principle of open seas prevailed.